Okay.
Okay, so it's all going to
You're
be
in
open.
the Zoom.
You have vertical tabs? Okay.
You are in room 1, right?
Yes.
So are you going to make an intro?
All right, time for me to go figure out why it's all published.
So when he connects, then we have to move him to the agenda. Sorry, yeah. I mean, it's good to try, you know. You say that always are all open to experiment. No, but are you in room 1?
Yes. I think so.
Did you assign to a room?
Yeah, look, room 1.
I think it's usually because of the large error on
I know you're busy.
Hi, yeah, please, yeah.
So sometimes like media will be too big, but I got rid of the big media because I actually have like a big video or whatever. But I also look at for like I definitely am way under 10,000 files.
And how to find this link?
Huh?
What is the link for YouTube?
You have to go to the Sundai club.
Every icon ever. It's usually encouraged you. The subject doesn't necessarily have to. You don't want it. That's it. It's fine. Yeah. People probably won't go to the project necessarily.
Okay, yeah, I see that you are in.
But yeah, you're here. You know, you're not forced to do it.
I'm gonna
I
make
cannot
my
hide the
intro.
polling controls.
I just need to tell Andrew that before he presents, he has to join to the agenda.
But what? Everyone will be presenting from mine. Oh,
Yeah, but he just have to go, when he starts, he just have to move out from the room 1 to the agenda. Yeah, so it's just that because if not, I don't want them to join the Discord, you know, so it's just to protect our Discord from a lot of people.
but can't they join room 1?
Well, I can assign all of them. It's just that I have to assign one by one, you see. It's difficult. It's easier for you to know. Yeah. Hi.
But then
Saying hi in person.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm just gonna, Andrew.
yes, it is my ticket.
Okay, it's open? Yeah. Okay. Didn't see that, but
Well, it should be, it will have like a pop-up asking you to enter your phone number and stuff. Okay. So, wait, why is it? Am I admin?
Yeah, you became an admin. Hi. So when you start like, where is this? Where's this? Yeah. Before you start presenting, I need
you had Daniel's deck first, but I'm
to
just doing
just
first and then
go because now you are in a room 1.
So I will invite you first.
So I
and then
need you to
I will
go.
announce you and you will announce Daniel.
I need you to go to the main session. How do you go back to the main session?
Do you want to keep room 1?
Yeah, but when you start presenting, I need you to go back to the main session. How do you go back to the main session?
Is there a main session?
Huh?
Things are on the
No, you are.
As well, they're unassigned just in general, like default, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How do you go back to the main session?
It's here. Tell me how to do that. I'm trying to fix the ANUs because it's not published right now for some reason, so I'm trying to figure out why.
I just want to know how you go back to the main session. There's a way to go back.
Oh, really? You chat about that so much. You didn't know that
You can close all the rooms.
Yeah.
I think that's what you want. Well, you're closing the rooms, but
Yeah,
then
I
they will
closed
close. But they will disappear, right?
Yeah, by 53 seconds. Just starting.
Okay,
We are gonna do something.
okay, so now it's trying to
Just
Okay, should I share?
So where does your Ink.ai live right now? It's on your server. Yeah. Reason could be that Natalie. Okay. So she's introducing us to people with the credits. Oh, great.
Hello, hello. Hi, good morning, everyone. We are figuring out some AV stuff, so feel free to just like meet each other. There is breakfast in the background, like over there. There's a coffee machine and some donuts. Please serve yourself. So we need maybe like 10 more minutes to set things up, and we'll start with AI news by Andrew, and then we'll continue with the hack very shortly. So please hold tight.
What? No, you can start.
But Andrew is answering.
So putting random big use files, like the .use files that Claude makes.
Okay, so take over. So we'll just stay in the main.
And if they weren't in the regular Claude folder, they were in my
We'll just stay in the main.
which is what
What I don't know is how you do that session.
We are ready.
that's what
Yeah, but when you are in a room, how do you
25 megabyte password.
Oh my god, the Wi-Fi.
Megabytes.
Yeah, hang with many people are there. Just like the Zoom keeps popping up, but I cannot hide it because it is so annoying.
You never really know what server's doing exactly.
Can you make me not happy? Because I think because of it.
Or he's in Madrid right now. You know? Oh, I think so.
It's because you joined first.
I can rejoin.
Yeah, rejoin.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, okay.
I'm a fan of
Oh, then you close for everyone.
Okay, I joined again.
I know you. I have to join first,
Okay, so I leave.
but don't close the room. Yeah.
Oh, because it should be yours. No?
Yeah, but you instead of leaving, you like kick him.
I think we're doing one in like October, November, or something like that.
It's a big deal. And so I went and bought an iPad and just stick on this for me.
Oh, okay. This is interesting.
Oh, so now you go.
I assign you to room so you share, and then I can assign everyone, and then I just.
That's it. Also, like,
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, good to go. Yeah, and so we forgot to. Just go on my
So you that's my
yeah. It's at dots. OCR is the MOCR now. Is the new one. As well. Or also, that one, their system is really good. That's it. You have to see the right tweets in the right time. That's it. yeah, there was a guy we were, he just fed an empty sheet into a bunch of OCR models to see what they would say. And I think DeepSeek and GLM both went and hallucinated like thousands of words. But then like Dodson and I think Chandra, all basically like, there's nothing here. Which is a very good litmus test, I feel like, you know. Because you gotta train on the negative models. So yeah, the almost that's a good example. Because basically what these are, they're like really great LLMs, and they do like some things. Because these are basically LLMs fine-tuned on OCR. Because yeah, a lot of it is just like because yeah, like the text level we've had for a while, but it's getting like all the like latex rendering of equations, you know, all the terms and tables. Wipe his memory.
Oh, it's the one where it's the memories that keep popping up and it's who's real and who's not. Yeah. But no, for real, it feels like you've been here forever.
It's you were 2 months at the retreat that you went. Yeah, so it was the retreat.
The cell, and then just
Okay. Oh, the first big. Okay. That one was the first one. Oh, I have a photo of that somewhere on my phone.
I can change how it change the context.
Right?
Oh, okay, this is the news that we got. I paid attention.
First thing also, you have to get to school. Yeah, I did.
Huh?
A good moment to start.
Yes. I'm asking Gabi if you're ready.
Gabi sits outside.
Yeah, well, applications could change. Yeah, my application was like
You're gonna take one up front.
to the point that you can't. That's not my.
Yeah. Now I want to. No, I'm a former Hooper.
So I get all of this.
Dress code for you. This, the shirt over top, yeah. That's style right there. It's funny, it's the Sunday people in fashion.
I looked at Daniel, I was like, why does it look so fashionable? It's because he has a fucking belt.
Oh, this is the.
It's so easy.
I
I'll call the shirt up so like a founder, you know? Yeah, good first impressions.
All right, everyone. I think we are ready to start. So please gather. We'll start with a short intro, and then we'll finally start hacking today. So if there are like many people in the corridor, please invite them, and we're starting now. All right. So good morning, everyone. So nice to see you. Yay! So nice to see so many people. Can you raise your hand if you've been to Sundai before? Whoa, that's kind of scary. Can you raise your hand if you haven't been to Sundai before? Okay, so this next part will be for you guys, for the new people. If you've been many times already, it's going to be boring for you, so zone out, do your things. But we need this intro. All right, so for the new people, what is Sundai Club? Who are we? What are we doing? Why are we here? And what's the whole purpose? So we are, first of all, a volunteer community. So we are basically builders and hackers who just love to build things. And we like to have a community of like-minded people who like building and tinkering and hopefully making something meaningful. So everything that you see here is volunteer organized. Sundai is a nonprofit. So my name is Artem. I'm one of the co-founders of this thing. We started like 2 years ago. And today I will be your MC, meaning that I will be like going around telling you like what time you should present, telling you about like lunch and stuff. So basically today I'm that person. But we also have many people who help to make it happen. So you can see that Atahan was at the door helping, preparing. Like Frido is, as always, doing a lot of work. Gabriel right now is actually doing a stream for Latin America so that people from there can also listen in remotely. Jordan, another hacker from us who just left Boston from Arizona, he's like helping remotely us to set up the stream. So many wonderful people that are making it happen today. And I think we should, just remember that all is volunteer effort. All right, so just a quick word of caution. So like, what do we mean that we are hackers, and what do we mean when we say we hack? Mostly we mean that we are trying to move quickly, right? So it's already what, like, my book doesn't really show time, but I bet it's around like 10:30 a.m. right now. And at 8 p.m. we'll start presenting the projects. So you really have just like a few hours to build today. And so what it means is that probably you don't really have to try to build super scalable, clean software. Maybe what you should try to do is like cut the corners and try to get to the point as quick as possible. You know, like how they say, make things first and then make it beautiful later. So that's kind of what hacking is about. And obviously it's not about like breaking Wi-Fi here. It's not our CSAIL. So just build cool stuff. Don't break anything. And yeah, like this is kind of the difference between hackers and engineers. It's okay here at Sundai to do git push ---- force to the main. It's okay for you to like download Light LLM, despite all the stuff recently. So like do crazy stuff, move fast. You'll clean up later. All right. So as a community, as an organization, we have a bunch of missions. And so the 3 missions that we always keep repeating are here. So first of all, we are not just trying to tinker. I guess like an important part of why we're doing here, like what we're doing is for you to upskill, to get to know like the latest AI news, tinker with a new technology, like understand how AI works, like apply it somewhere. But always try to keep in mind that like mission number 1 of Sundai is actually build something meaningful. So like whenever you're tinkering, try to keep a North Star in mind, like what ultimately you want to achieve, like what's the final goal, like where you try to bring it all. So that's mission number one. Mission number two is that as a community, our goal is to empower everyone and like upskill ourselves, upskill people around, and like just grow together, learn together, especially now when AI is moving so fast. It's insanely hard to keep up with it. It's very important to have a community of people around you who will help you. It's important to have Andrew who will tell you the recent AI news and explain what happened over the last week. And finally, the last mission of Sunday is spread the hacker mindset. So I personally really like building stuff. That's pretty much my entire career, just like build stuff and don't think about anything else. And I really want to kind of like spread this, and I hope you guys want to. So find the best builders, the best hackers, bring them here, hack with them, hack outside of Sunday. That's just like the whole goal. Just like build, build, build. Especially now, like literally is the best moment to build. Like never in time in history we had tools like that. All right. So we just had an anniversary. We announced a couple goals for the year. So this is already like the third year that Sunday exists. And basically we are trying to go a little bit more beyond just like UI and surface level applications. So we will be focusing much more on like deep tech applications, deep tech hacks. And you'll see more hacks coming from us that are focused on like training models, like RL fine tuning. Next week we will have parameter golf with auto research from OpenAI. So we'll try to do more interesting hacks like that. All right, so just a reminder, yeah, like everyone's a volunteer here. It's a little bit of a chaos, but you can join the chaos. So every Tuesday we have a meeting at 8 p.m. on Discord. So today I'll show you the QR code link. If you didn't join yet, you should be on Discord. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m., sorry, we gather together to discuss what went good, what went wrong. We suggest new experiments. We always change the format a little bit. So if you want to join the Hack Chaos and like help organize it a little, please join, volunteer, and make Sundays even a better place. Right, so what's going to happen today? Obviously, as always, we're already a little bit behind the schedule, but in just a couple of minutes, I will invite Andrew to tell you about what happened in AI in the last week. And then finally, we have our dear guests, Rich and Daniel over there. Let's welcome them, maybe. Hey. And so Rich and Daniel will tell you what is Ink.ai, why they're so excited about it, why it's really the future of interaction with computers, hopefully inspire you to come up with some crazy ideas. All right, so with this, please let's welcome Andrew. He was doing a very hard job all week scrolling through Twitter and testing every single new model. So let's welcome him.
Where is your son? Oh, here.
The 3 laptops for everything.
It's kind of crazy too. But okay, yeah, all yours.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Artem. Let's. Where? Okay. Cool. All right, yeah. So yeah, as Artem said, I'm Andrew. I'm a machine learning engineer. Part of my job is going and keeping up with everything that happens in the AI space. So I go and spend, 20 hours of my week is spent on Twitter, going and finding out all the different things that happen, staying up to date. I bookmark, dozens, if not hundreds, of posts every week, and then I pull out the ones that actually matter that you need to know about. As a regular person who's just taking an AI and just needs to know the important things. Good news for this week, there's not much that happened at all. This is actually probably the quietest week of news that we have had since I've started doing the AI news about a year ago now. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to keep this pretty short. As always though, if you have any questions or comments about anything, feel free to raise your hand. This is not just me sitting up here and lecturing to you the whole time. So yeah, the main thing that I found this week was a new benchmark actually. So many of us, as we're vibe coding, you probably get a sense that like, oh, the model gets slower as you vibe code in your code base more and more, or the code quality decreases, where features are harder to implement, more bugs get created, old features get broken, all that sort of thing. this is something I feel like a lot of us who have been, vibe coding or coding with AI have experienced, but we never had a benchmark or any quantitative measurement for this phenomenon until now with this benchmark called Slop Code Bench, which goes and tries to measure these different things of how AI impacts your code base as you use it more and more. So they go and measure across 4 different pillars. So they measure structural erosion. So this is the sort of like complexity of your code base, like how well designed it is, the code style, that sort of thing. Then you have verbosity. That's code that just does nothing. That's meaningless. You might see a lot of the times the AI just puts in a bunch of try-catch loops. Even though it doesn't need it, it's very unnecessary a lot of the time. Then also there's test cases, which is the third one there. We can see how those get impacted over time as well. They measure things both strictly in terms of like, oh, do all the regression tests pass for a feature? And also just for this one feature, do the test pass? And both of them they see decreases. And then finally, it's cost as well, which is hugely important if you're vibe coding, if you're on, like one of the coding plans, if you don't want to run into rate limits. You can see that things get much more expensive. That's like 3 to 5 times more expensive the more that you're coding in these code bases. Also, they try to do things intelligently with this benchmark. They're not just sort of benchmarking these models without their sort of native harnesses. They are using like Claude and Claude Code and GPT 5.3 and 5.4 in Codex. So what they're trained for, the harnesses they're meant to use, trying to give them the best chance possible. They also use a bunch of different prompting techniques. That's what the green and orange lines are. So they try and just give it like, oh, here's what slop looks like. Don't write like this. But they still find, even though like it lowers the amount, obviously, it does do some work, but it still doesn't fix this sort of like decay over time that you see with the models. And so yeah, they also compare like, you might think, is this something that humans have happened as well, where like the more an engineer sits in a code base, the worse it gets. But they find these are their baseline numbers, and they find that they basically are level across time when compared to the models. So the models are definitely doing worse than humans would for long term when they're operating in a code base. So yeah, very cool benchmark. I'm glad that we finally have insights into this. I should say this benchmark, it's across 20 different code repositories, and then they're testing anywhere between 3 to 8 different issues, like sequentially, building upon each other to go and measure all of this. So yeah, cool benchmark. Hopefully, as long as they keep it updated, I'm probably going to start using this frequently in the news whenever I'm talking about new models, because I think, yeah, this is very good, very important for a lot of us here at Sundai as we're using these models. Yeah, any questions? Cool, it's gonna be like, oh no.
Have you seen any people with like better harnesses or any ways to help combat this drift?
It's not that I've seen. All of the major coding harnesses that I'm aware of, they're all within like 5 to 10% of each other. My thought is that the Claude Code and like Codex harnesses, those are being co-adapted with the model. So OpenAI is training their model on their harness, and then they're also updating their harness to work better with their model. So I think long term they're going to win out in terms of quality. And I know, like, especially for like Claude, they're very quick in terms of like integrating all the new features into it. Like whenever there's new like the multi-agent swarm stuff that came out a couple months ago, they had that implemented within a couple weeks. They're also now basically taking all the features from OpenClaw and they're trying to add those in as well. So they tend to be very on top of it. They have whole teams working on it. So if anyone figures it out, they will have it shortly thereafter as well, in my mind. Yeah.
Do you know if this benchmark is like more open source? Like, can you take their methods and put it into your code base to like quantify your own code base, or is it just for?
Yeah. So the way that they go and measure things, like they have for I believe the verbosity, they have like 128, I believe, or something like that. AST grep like linter rules to read through the code base. They didn't open source those though, because I had the same thought. I was like, oh, why don't I just go and use their rules that they defined in my code base? Because that'd be super nice. But I was not able to go and find those anywhere. So I think they briefly mentioned what they're looking for in the paper. So you could try and like reconstruct it, use another AI to go and build out a bunch for you to try and cover it. Because I think it'd be very useful, like to use in your code base, or like just test it and see like, all right, like if you have a bunch of issues previously that you made like in GitHub, like revert the code back and see how it does and how the code changes with that. And you can also train on it if you have it as well, technically. you can train a model to be less verbose or have better structural qualities as well once you have these rules. Yeah. Cool. That's the only main piece of news. So the one other thing is a PSA for those that use GitHub, which is probably most of us here, which is that they now by default opt in for all of your repos to train your code with. So any of the Copilot models by default, they have access to your repo. They can train on that data. If you don't want that to happen, you can go to whatever I said there. Yeah, like the Copilot in settings, and there you can change the privacy. So if you don't want them harvesting your data to go and train their AI models with, make sure you go and do that.
Is that for your repos or for?
No, this is for everything on GitHub. Also, if you're like an enterprise user as well, I believe. Like if you're paying for GitHub, you also still default get opted in as well.
So even private, yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. They want to take everything by default. So very important. So yeah. That's all I had. Any questions about these things? Anything that you saw this week that you want me to discuss that you think I missed or anything like that?
You can use your slide LLM.
There's a supply chain attack. So yeah, what is it? Is Team Tuesday. Yeah, that had malware that it basically just goes and scrapes all of like the secrets. If you have any like Bitcoin wallets, anything like that, it goes and like scrapes all of that from your computer and grabs it. Brandon, your security, right?
Did you see the easy fix for that? If you use UV, you can tell it not to pull packages newer than 7 days. So then, as long as that bug was removed within 7 days, we've been all set. So you probably want to have that.
Could you repeat that and protect it a little?
Yeah. So if you use UV instead of pip, there's a setting in UV to say only pull latest updates that are older than 7 days old, and that usually these things are caught pretty quickly, so that you wouldn't have pulled the malware. What's also interesting, did you talk about Mythos and that they're saying they're waiting to release it?
That's like internal rumor stuff. I try not to cover it, but yeah, Anthropic allegedly has trained a model bigger than Opus. That's like even more expensive. It's the biggest training run ever done, according to them. According to their leaked internal documents, like I said, I don't usually cover leaks, but yeah, it's called the Mythos model, and it's apparently really good. They said it's another step function change in terms of model quality.
So for cyber, the rumors are they're not releasing it because it's like too good at finding zero-day exploits, and therefore they think it's too much of an advantage for attackers over defenders. Which that was a very interesting reason not to release something. Obviously, that's big hype, but you can find exploits really, really fast with AI models now. So it's much harder to defend. Yeah.
I think also there's like the ARC-AGI 3 benchmark they did release this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like one of the benchmarks that is the least saturated of all the benchmarks.
I usually haven't been a big fan of the ARC-AGI benchmarks. I know a lot of people really like them. I think they're a bit like, I don't care about the stuff that it's testing a lot of the times. The ARC-AGI 3 came out. They are visual reasoning benchmarks. So specifically, ARC-AGI 3 is now basically, I think it's like a couple dozen video games, essentially. You can imagine like 2D games where there's a bunch of things that the AI has to go walk over, interact with, figure out what it actually does and how it like changes the rest of the map, and then go and like reason about that and go through it. All of the frontier models, I think the highest score is like 0.3%. They also score it really weird though, where the later levels are worth a lot more than the previous ones. And so I was seeing some stuff like if you just score it normally like ARC-AGI 1 and 2, the models are actually much better. But yeah, it's new benchmark. There's also 2 million in prizes to go and solve it. It's usually the big thing with ARC-AGI though is for a lot of the prizes they are compute constrained, where you can't spend a certain amount over a certain amount of computer over a certain like amount of dollars essentially when using these models to like get solutions. I think for ARC-AGI 1 and 2, I don't think we've hit either of the scores for those, even though models are technically at like 80-90% on ARC-AGI 1. None of them have actually reached the efficiency level needed to claim the big prizes. Anything else? If not, then thank you all. If you are interested, I send this out every week as a newsletter. So even if you're not at Sundai, You can still get the news, especially when there's weeks with more news. You can sign this, scan this QR code, enter in your email there, free newsletter. I usually send it out like right after I present it right now, every Sunday. So yeah. Also be sure to come to AI Tools Club if you want to talk about more AI stuff in the Discord at 5 p.m. Serge and I, and it's mostly a community event. It's not me talking. It's just all of us coming together and just like talking about how we use AI for coding and our workflows, any questions, stuff like that. We get together as a community and talk for about an hour about it. So yeah, be sure to come to that as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andrew. All right, so yeah, I hope you got your fresh dose of AI psychosis for this week. Hope you're scared or not scared. I don't know. I've heard that some like a company, at least they claim they reached already 45% on ArcGIS 3, which was like supposed to be below 1%. And they reached it in 20 hours, so that's kind of scary.
But it's a public subset. They reached.
Yeah, it's the public subset.
It was on the public?
Which are like easier, more like human friendly.
And you can overfit, right?
Yeah.
And those have been out for like a couple months now as well.
Yeah. No, I think they extended the public, right?
Oh, did they?
Yeah. It's like for public before we had 2 games, and now it's like much more, I think. Yeah. Right. So just a couple announcements. What's going to happen within the community? This you already know. So basically, yeah, the hacker meeting 8:30 on Tuesdays. Next hack on 5th of April, it's going to be parameter golf by OpenAI. So if you've been following this entire trend with auto research by Andrej Karpathy, where you can just basically give a prompt to Claude Code to go and optimize something, like he applied it to training a ChatGPT-like model, but you can literally optimize whatever you want, like, I don't know, social media engagements, I don't know, like training of your obscure model, anything you want. OpenAI kind of is driving this train as well. They released this challenge where they made a very small GPT-like model. They released it and tell you, hey, go try to optimize the parameters to the best score possible, such that it trains within like 10 minutes budget. And then if you get the score, you get on the leaderboard. And so what we will try to do, we'll try to get together and all like figure out how to improve the models. Like the cool thing about it is the top model is open sourced, so you can always see what's the best performer right now, and you can just start building on top of them. And we can try to run some compute and build all this. All right. So just a quick shout out to people and organizations who bring all this coffee, the space, and resources to Sundai. So Sundai is a nonprofit, and we are actually supported by a few organizations. So one of them is Red Hat and the Open Accelerator. They basically, like Red Hat, you know, like they manage a lot of open source. They're based in Boston, and they're starting a new thing that's called the Open Accelerator somewhere in September, where they will be bringing a bunch of companies and help them build enterprise-ready software and scale them. So if you start, hopefully, something on Sundai, that can be a good next step for you. Then E14. E14 is like MIT-affiliated VC fund. They invest a lot here, like especially into deep tech. So if you trying to raise money for that, ask for intros. We can introduce you to E14. And finally, we have Generative AI Insights by Paul Bayer. They like provide lots of news and organize lots of cool events around AI here in Boston. And finally, we have Hyperskill by Nikolai. And where's Nikolai? Hey, thank you, Nikolai. Hyperskill consistently supports Sundai with lots of resources. So yeah, these are our dear supporters. Hopefully, you can find some opportunities as well among them. All right, so now to the important part of today. It's my pleasure to invite Rich on stage. Rich has been a long-time supporter of our community, probably like since the 4th month of our existence, already for like a year and a half. Rich often comes to our events and most importantly, like really gives advice to Sundai, how to grow, how to build better ecosystem here in Boston. So Rich, as you probably seen already, is a co-founder of Android. So Rich built Android here in Boston and then sold it to Google, then spent 20 years in Google working on Google Ventures and on many different interesting topics. And then just recently in the summer, left Google to start a new startup that's called Ink.ai. And please welcome Rich to tell us about what Ink.ai is doing.
gonna lower this. And we have tablets for you guys to do your hacks. That's what that is. Is that hot? Or not? Do we have a mic?
Now it works.
Okay. All right, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right. I noticed many of you are still using computers with keyboards. The goal here is maybe to change that with your help. What you're actually going to see is the VC pitch that we did about a year and a half ago, because I'm kind of lazy and didn't feel like doing a special deck for this. I did insert a few slides, but I also thought you might want to see at least how some people do VC decks. So this is how I do a VC deck. And Ink.ai, the goal is, I think people are smarter and more creative, retain things better when you have a stylus in your hand. I think we learn better. I actually think keyboards slow you down. There's certainly a lot of studies that show cognitively where we're just, you retain things better and you're more creative when you take notes writing versus typing. And if you're sitting in a lecture and you're typing your notes in your ear, through your fingers, you're not retaining stuff. If you're listening and writing, you're kind of cognitively thinking about what you heard, summarizing it, writing down a summary, underlining the important things. And I just want to get people back to that. And certain people in history, definitely thought that. Richard Feynman would very much say that his notebooks were not a recording of his thinking. His notebooks were his thinking. That writing for him was thinking. He couldn't think without writing. Sam Altman, if you see Sam, he always has a little notebook in his back pocket, and is constantly writing things down and then pulling the pages out. And and you can go online and look up Sam Altman note taking, and he'll tell you specifically what notebook, what Uniball pen he likes to use. And almost every major invention, work of art, architecture in the history of man was evolved from initially a sketch, a thought down on paper. And yet today, we still think that this weird mechanical device that you're all using in front of you, patented in the mid to late 1800s, and literally with a layout that was meant to slow you down because originally keyboards mechanically would swing something to strike on a piece of paper. And if you type too quickly, you would jam the machine. The keyboard layout that you all use for productivity was designed to slow people down. And that's what we consider the state of art of computer input. And Ink.ai is trying to figure out how we can get people being more productive with a stylus and a digital canvas with AI built into that digital canvas. Lots of people are really good at sketching, right? Da Vinci, Johnny Ives at Apple. A lot of people aren't good at sketching. This was an early sketch of Thomas Edison's light bulb, right? He looks like he's a 7-year-old sketching, but he needed that to look really nice and cleaned up for his patent application. And Thomas Edison had the benefit of literally, this is the drafting room of Edison Electric. He had an entire room full of draftsmen that would help him take his sketches and ideas, and the sketches and ideas of his other researchers, and turn those into cleaned up artifacts that they could have patent applications, share it, raise money, do business presentations. And my belief is, and you guys are going to do some of this today, is with AI, we can be doing that for everyone, from sketches and ideation and whatever, and producing amazing artifacts of deliverable work. And the other crazy thing is, if you go back into the history of paper and note-taking, everything we think of almost as an enterprise application these days, or certainly the big enterprise applications, and you look at SAP, you look at Salesforce, what they've built literally just used to be different types of paper, right? A lot of people get checks paid by ADP, which runs payroll checks. Payroll used to be run, that little card over on the left, that's an employee's card that they would write the number of hours they worked each day. Somebody would take that card, add up the hours, write out a check, and generate the check. The middle image is double ledger accounting. Double ledger accounting, invented by these two dudes in the late 1300s. And then it really took off when some monk wrote a book about it in the late 1400s. But literally, it happened because shortly before they invented double ledger accounting, there actually wasn't paper. They started manufacturing paper around Florence in the 1300s. They were able to bind that paper low cost into notebooks. Prior to that, you didn't actually have any way of sketching stuff down easily or cost effectively. As soon as you had paper notebooks, people started innovating. They came up with double ledger accounting. It's still what we use in accounting software today to manage large company payroll, balance sheets and figure out what comes in, what goes out. SAP just kind of took this 1300 innovation, innovated it. And then a sales, on the right is again what Salesforce does, right? A sales guy goes, talks to somebody, gets the deal, writes up an invoice, sends them the invoice. Part of the point is I think all of these big applications are potentially going to go away because AI and forms of kind of writing and generating reports are potentially going to replace those big pieces of software. But again, we mentioned that everything, a lot of things in history just started with notes. In the middle, not that I'm trying to equate myself to Einstein on the right, and I forget who, I think it was the figuring out the double helix on the left. But anyways, these are my notes from a board meeting. I have horrible handwriting, right? And so, but the good thing is with AI, you can understand horrible handwriting. You can understand rough sketches. And then you can maybe vibe sketch and vibe write with someone, clean that up for them, right? Help it make it look like what they have in their mind's eye because you're kind of getting in a cadence with them as they're drawing and sketching. And our, Ink.ai is a startup. Our we have this bold vision, which you guys are going to help us expand that vision even further than what I can think about, because that's the great thing about building platforms. I like building platforms. Android was a platform. We didn't know all that, that there would be millions of apps built for it. But what we're building first is, if you guys have seen the Granola note-taking app, right? You kind of type while it's recording. That's literally our first MVP. Is super simple. Like you just, in a notebook, like a Notability, it'll feel a lot like Notability or GoodNotes. You're writing your notes. We're recording audio. And then at the end of that, we create beautiful, cleaned up notes from your messy notes. But I actually want them to be that thing in the middle, not the thing on the right. My goal is to get people to fall in love with their handwriting again. We're doing a lot of work, and if people are interested in this line of research, come and talk to me, or Daniel is going to talk next, doing a lot of work in figuring out how to synthesize amazing looking handwriting that looks like your handwriting. So I want people to start writing in this notebook. It figures out what their handwriting looks like very quickly. There's all these one-shot techniques for doing that. And then uses a large combination of transformer diffusion model techniques to be able to synthesize your handwriting, but more beautiful. So we take that messy handwriting of mine or anyone's and produce beautiful, clean handwriting. It looks like your handwriting, so you feel proud about that artifact, and people recognize it as yours, but it's incredibly legible, grammar corrected, spelling corrected, all of that stuff. This is just what we told VCs we would do, which we're kind of doing-ish. It's a big vision, and this is just kind of the early roadmap, right? This is the stuff that I thought we needed to do to get that version 1 note-taking app out. I have a vision of doing this for students where we automatically tie into a school's LMS system, look at what courses you have, build notebooks for you. I did this for my daughter when I sent her off her freshman year, built pre-populated a bunch of notebooks for her. So she walked into psychology and she's like, oh shoot, I got to start taking notes. She pulled out her tablet, opened it up. GoodNotes was there with a notebook for psychology. She just started taking her notes. So it's going to tie into your LMS, but then be smart. Know what classes you're taking. Build a tutor into each of those notebooks maybe so that the notebook itself knows that you're in an EE class. And if you draw a circuit diagram, which by the way, would love to see this for a hack today, draw a circuit diagram, and that circuit diagram comes to life in your notebook. You can actually put probes on it and see voltages at certain points, knowing kind of the capacitors and resistors and what's going on in that circuit. You're really simulating it. Plug in an oscilloscope, see the oscilloscope at a certain point, LEDs blinking. Pendulum in physics, you swing it and you see the sine wave, sinusoid. Anyways, that's the idea of the student notebook. And then third parties and people can build all kinds of things, which again, we'll talk a little bit more about that today. So this is a little video that shows, it was done by this guy, Thomas, so I meant to give him credit in here. It's actually in the file itself, but he's consulting with us a day a week. He did this prior to that. I saw what he was doing and I was like, damn, dude, you got to consult for us. Daniel and I had built something very similar to this at Google. But But anyways, take a look. It seems like more than a hint to me, but whatever. I'm gonna just pause here. So Harry Potter, Tom Riddle's Diary, you guys saw Chamber of Secrets? Chamber of Secrets, anyone, right? Yeah. So kind of like that, right? Like, hey, hi Harry, I'm Tom Riddle. So it doesn't want to kill you, but it does want to help you. So a little different, I guess, in some ways, but the idea is very similar kind of mode of interaction. Why not? We're going to see stuff better than this later today, right? This was done by a guy he's a designer, right? He just goes vibe coding this stuff. You guys are going to blow this away. Right, architects should draw like this, not use function keys and mice to get stuff done, right? Like, okay. Shoot, I want one too much. Yeah. Really? Okay. The education use case, I think there's an early learner version of this too. This is a cartoon series. It's brilliant. Harold and the Purple Crayon. The guy actually wrote that book 60 years ago, but it's about this little kid who kind of just walks around with this purple crayon that's kind of magical. And he just draws stuff. Like he wants to go for a walk, so he just draws a path, and then he can go for a walk down this path. And imagine if you could give kids a magical little, like before they could even speak, you give them a tablet they start drawing in, and it's kind of understanding their drawings, telling them, they hear the word circle when they draw a circle, right? Eventually, a little bit later in life, when they tap the color red, they not only hear the word red, they see the word spelled out. And then eventually it encourages them to start tracing their letters, right? Teaching them how to write, do math. Anyways, this is fun. He draws a tree, right? Like he wants to go, then he draws a dragon. He's trying to escape from the dragon, so he drew some water, ran into the water, and he's like, shoot, I'm in water. So he draws a boat, right? Climbs into his boat. Right, and he can draw a sail, so then climb up it. Here we go. Now we can sail. All right, you get the idea. Right. This is just some other stuff that Thomas did. That's why I wasn't finding it. It was kind of in between. This is using Fail. If anybody wants to try and do some 3D stuff and you don't have credits for it, we could buy some credits today for you guys and you could do stuff. But, right, sketch to 3D. Why not? Isn't this how we should design? Right? Okay, you get the idea. Okay, so lots of different hacks you guys could do. These are just a bunch of ideas, right? Structured business stuff, academic and STEM stuff, like you saw some examples of that in the work that Thomas had done, right? Circuit simulator, kinematics playground, chemistry molecules, a chemist in the audience, creativity, media stuff, right? So we saw some of that, the 3D modeling stuff, architectural ideas, love to see that. Take a PDF of a floor plan, use architect notation. Any architects, anybody kind of minoring? Yeah, all right, great. So mark up, I get floor plans, I work with architects a lot, and I have to kind of crudely mark it up and then send it back to them and then whatever. Why can't I just mark it up and have the thing I'm marking it up in be smart and be like, help me, like be my architect's assistant for me and just mark up the floor plan, right? Or ideally, the way it should work for architects, talk to a client, start sketching, right? And then get a 3D model from your 2.5D sketch, right? Why not? And be able to run to the printer and show them a 3D printout of the idea that you just started talking to them about. From the 3D model, generate floor plans, mark them up. Anyways, lots of ideas there, obviously. App. I'd love to see this, right? Sketch an app, get an app. Like, let's do Sketch to Lovable or something today. I would love to see that. Bonus points if it runs on Android. Okay, and then yeah, perfecting notes. So then there's a lot of stuff to do just to make your notes look like beautiful notes. If somebody's in a lecture and you take a photo of a whiteboard in your lecture or in your meeting, I'd love that photo to not look like you just inserted a photo into your notebook, but look like you hand copied the whiteboard down beautifully and perfectly, carefully into the notebook and kind of transform it into the ink that way. Okay, anyways, think with ink. Let's get rid of these antiquated and literally antiquated keyboard things you guys are all using. I'm going to hand it over to the CTO of Ink.ai, Daniel, who's building the platform and has also built the test fixture you guys are all going to be hacking on today. So without further ado, I will transition to Daniel. Thank you.
I have your slides open. Do you want to just use mine or? I have the demo here. Can I? Oh, okay. Yes. So you need to. The question is, what can we do now? So you just need to plug this thing in, and then let me ask you. You might ask you to join us meeting as well. Sure. Is it a Google meeting or Zoom? Yeah. But you need to plug this thing in. Plug this in here. Okay, so. The demo is like on slide 3. I could also skip it if it doesn't work. I do this. I mean, the appraisal I could also do from the other computer if you have it ready. I don't think your laptop is touchscreen. No. I think touchscreen. Should I just present it from yours? So we need to. How many MIT should be separated?
Problem is I want a demo from an Android tablet, and Android is just, you know. I need to talk to the guy.
I can send him.
Let me just present from your laptop.
Yeah.
And the demo will just skip that?
No, it's okay. I'll just send you a link. So it already works, right? You're already on screen. Okay. We just need to add people who are in Latam. So I sent you in WhatsApp. It worked right before. Yeah, what are we looking at? So you just need to change presenter mode.
Where is that? Can you do it?
Can you just like open your camera and point the it's going to be easier.
Look at you. Should I make this even bigger screen? Like, I still see the top. I don't know how I do that.
It's fine, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe like view. Here.
It isn't full screen.
I'm going to distract you guys while they're doing that. Okay, so tell me when you're ready. You ready? You're ready. I'll shut up.
We ready?
You're not ready.
We are ready.
The presentation?
Okay. Anyways, there's going to be one of these free
The
teams.
demo?
If we don't have enough of these for the team,
You can then plug it into here to do the
demo.
Okay, that'll work.
Tablets, Android.
Should.
It's an okay OS.
Maybe just like
There's a should be a stylus in each of these boxes as well, so you should be able to be up and running. Daniel's going to tell you how to get those up and running, and I'm going to.
I don't know how to get that top bar away, but I think it's
You can ask how many people brought their own tablet or have a drawing board here? Yeah, I guess like 6, 7. Okay.
6 or 7. My kids would hate on me right now. I would get stink eye at home. All right, so I'm Daniel. I'm CTO at Ink.ai, and I'll talk a little bit about the sort of the dev harness that we created today. Everything about content from Ink, as you can see. I hope you appreciate that. This is a nice notebook here with. I kind of just want to snap this thing. Doesn't work. Okay, so as Rich described, we want to kind of magically bring. Am I loud enough, or should I use this?
Yeah, use that.
Is this loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to kind of magically bring Ink to life, Ink to active magic, if you will. And everything you see here, it started out as pen strokes. Both initially drawing the board, and then the board somehow comes to life, and then you start playing the game. And at that point, it basically has semantically become a board, a tic-tac-toe board. And this is not just one trick. We have shapes, we have games, text and lists. Like writing bullet points, you see that the text gets baseline aligned very subtly. You can insert a bullet with a caret symbol. You can drag and drop bullets around. You can change indent. There's a lot of magic that can happen there. Should I do the demo at the end, or should I do it now?
Demo at the end.
I'm afraid. I'll do it at the end. We'll crush and burn at the end. Okay, so how does this work? There's really two ideas here in what we're doing right now. And as you heard, we're basically still at the beginning with all of this, right? But there are two ideas. There's creating structure from Ink out of nothing, basically. And then there's interacting with that structure with Ink, right? creating structure, you draw strokes, the system somehow recognizes what this might be. It might need your help to disambiguate potentially, but if it knows what it is, it just makes it so, and then the thing becomes interactive. And from that point on, you can essentially interact with it with ink. Going back to the tic-tac-toe example, creation is essentially as simple as drawing 4 strokes. Right now, the way this is implemented, I'm embarrassed to say, we use a text recognizer. We look at whether it's a hash mark. We make sure it's roughly square. We make sure it's not too small, not too big. We find the intersection points. We create 9 grids. And then it's a tic-tac-toe board from that point on. And then after that, writing over the board essentially is recognizing the shape and checking bounding box assignments, right? So if you draw an X that's too big for one of these cells, it won't be accepted. It has to be in a cell, it has to be in an empty cell, it has to be your turn, right? All of that. One thing worth pointing out is, I know there is probably a lot of people that work on image and diffusion, maybe, but strokes in the way that we look at them are not bitmaps. They are essentially the points that are generated by the stylus when it touches the screen. So time-stamped 2D coordinates, if you will. And every stroke is essentially an ordered array of those. Why that matters is a bunch of reasons. First of all, the sequence of the dots with the timing and potentially even the pressure on the stylus gives us a richer signal on the stroke shape itself. They become much more interactive that way, right? You can select them, move them around, group them, erase them, assign them to elements. We become resolution independent, which is important for sketching applications, right? If I want to draw something and I want to zoom in and make it a little finer with pixels, that it's a little harder to do. And they're also more efficient to store. If you imagine a many-page meeting notes page, you wouldn't want to store all of that as a bitmap. In this React frontend that we created for today, there's a bunch of elements in there already. Simple stroke, and then the shape, which is like a rectangle, circle, octagon, that kind of thing. I'm not going to go through all of them. A bunch of games. Sketchable image, which is essentially the file.ai sketch and get solid object. We don't currently have an API key for that we can share, but we can talk about that. This is the actual element interface. I don't want to dwell on that too much. I'm guessing everybody has Claude Code here or some variation, right? Claude can probably explain this better to you than I can, but it's not in the repo. There are 3 critical blocks. First of all, you have the type of the element and the name, but then there's creation and interaction, which I just described in the tic-tac-toe slide. You can disregard the handle-based interaction. This is, imagine if you have V-size handles on an image object or something like that. And then the rendering itself of how does the element draw itself, right? For creation, there is a question of, I give you some ink, you tell me, can you even create yourself from this? So I can interrogate all the elements in the system at any time when I'm sort of considering a cluster of ink strokes. Say, could this be tic-tac-toe? Could this be text? Could this be an octagon? And then I ask you, when I've made that determination, possibly by asking the user to disambiguate, then I ask you to actually create yourself from this ink. Similarly, for interaction, there's a 2-step process. First, I'm going to ask you, yeah?
How does ink decide which elements to produce? Multiple elements can you create?
If you could solve that for me today, that would be great. Right now, we ask all the elements in the system, roughly. So we don't respond on every ink stroke. We create clusters, and then we look at those, so that it's a good writing experience, where we kind of debounce until you stop writing for a moment. And then we look through the components and see which ones might be good candidates. If you draw something like a 3x3 data table and a tic-tac-toe board, could be either, right? Sometimes, like if it's very vertical, it's probably not a tic-tac-toe board. It's more likely a data table, right? If it's perfectly square, then it could be either. And so it's an unsolved problem, right? Yeah.
Having a little trouble hearing you back here.
Okay. Should I maybe use this one?
Okay. Yep.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So for the interaction, so there's is interested in and assign ink. Assign ink is obvious, right? Once you've decided I want to give you this ink, here, take it, and you tell me whether you took it. is interested in is part of this process of deciding whether something is interested in this ink. If the tic-tac-toe board is here and I draw an X over here, clearly you're not interested in this, right? It's not automatically the bounding shape of the object, because like if you have a text object, we typically write to the right or to the left or below the text object, right? So your area of interest can be larger than the tight bounding box around the object.
No, sorry, you just continue.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the element interface. Quick, sort of bringing it back to tic-tac-toe, can create, again, as I said, embarrassingly, it's just a very simple rules check. Is it 4 strokes? Do they look like a hash mark? Is it roughly not too small, not too large? Construct the 9 cell quads and then go from there. Drawing the board is also simple. You just draw the board strokes and then you draw the game pieces over. And potentially you have a, you win, CPU wins, kind of a message over it. Playing the game, again, is just the 2 functions, is interested and accept. Is interested in tic-tac-toe, you actually just over the tight bounds of the board. And accept ink, you kind of have to manage the game state, right? Is it your turn? Does it fit in a cell? What kind of piece is it? Is it your piece? And then enact the computer move. For element creation, there's actually 2 ways of creating an element. What you're seeing on the right, basically drawing a box with an X, conjures up a sort of a palette menu where you can put your component. This is an example of Minesweeper. The path I described up to this slide is path 1, which is actually sort of directly interpreting the structure and sort of disassembling the structure, if you will, right? And then using the can create function. Path 2 is really this more sort of deterministic draw rectangle and X, get this catalog, pick what you want, which might be easier for getting started here, and then later you can get fancier. But they both coexist in the system. We'll distribute open router key, and that should allow you to use any kind of models to kind of assess these blocks that we talked about, right? These clusters of ink strokes, and say what might I see here, and explain the structure to me, give me some structured JSON back. Gemini Flash is pretty good for handwritten content, DeepSeek, OCR as well. And this is basically in there. You can just talk to the system and during the creation or during assignment, you can use this to kind of make sense of the structure. Obviously, you can invent your own approaches, but this is one of them. We also use a stroke-based Google API that resides. We're proxying it through our backend, and that basically works with strokes, with XYTs, and then returns back what it. And it's only for text. It returns the text and the lines and the bounding shapes around the tokens. There's no API key needed for this. One example, so we implemented this idea of sketching with FAL.ai, where you just draw and then it debounces your strokes and then updates the sketch rendering. That is in the system. The API key is not in there, but we can talk about providing that. Repo itself is pretty straightforward. There's an elements directory. You have to register yours in the register directory, but you can just pick a subdirectory and start creating your thing there for if you actually want to build this kind of sketchable element. Everything else should be fairly self-explanatory. In docs, there is a new element how-to that describes in some more detail about how you create an element. Down there's the repo that you have to clone. The ink recognition API is there. I think you have to set that in your env local, and the open router key will have to provide. And then you just do npm install, npm run dev, and that should bring up your front end. Devflow is pretty easy. Hot reload. Mouse should work if you're on your desktop, on your laptop. If you're on a tablet, you can just point it at your laptop IP address, or you can use ADB to map the port onto the tablet if you just want to be on localhost on your tablet browser. I covered all of these things. Okay, so now that we've got the mechanics down, what will you build? I know Rich covered some of these already, but just to go through some more ideas. Hack ideas, games is one category, obviously, right? On the right, you see a game called Color Connect, where you draw ink strokes to connect pairs of same colored circles. You have to stay in the circle, and the lines can't intersect. Many other games here. There's some games that lend themselves particularly well to stylus interaction, more so than others. Data visualization, productivity. This is a prototype that we started hacking up recently, interacting with pie chart. Right, you see that scribble erasing works. That should work sort of as a general thing, with the caveat that this is there's no unit test in this React app, right? So use it at your own risk. But bar line pie charts you can create, structured data tables, Gantt timelines, auto-generating project plans, dynamic templates, and sort of automatically creating forms are some examples. STEM and learning. I think, Rich, you mentioned chemistry molecules already, circuit simulator. I put this link on the right. For those who don't know, Brett Victor, he's worked a lot in the space of visualizing through code. And he's got this really cool video about circuit diagrams where you can essentially put a virtual probe on every line and see how the voltage changes over time. That'd be awesome to create that by hand drawing the circuit, right? And then getting those things. Math equation solver, physics simulation. I had once created a sort of a physics box where you created a square. You pull in a physics engine, and then you allow the user to create boxes, tap them, they become solid objects. You can start stacking them. Kid can learn how to multiply by stacking boxes that they drew, right? It's very interactive. Sketch to video. There's a model that exists already that is used in that example on the right. You draw a flag, you give it a prompt. You say, I want this flag to kind of blow in the wind, and then it animates that. That'd obviously be cool for kids to do something like that, like create their own animations. Sheet music, generating images like the example I showed earlier with Falder.ai, or even drawing multiple sketches and turning those into a rotatable 3D objects. More domain-specific stuff, you could create flowcharts, you could create mind maps, architectural renderings, floor plan editing sounds really enticing. You look at a floor plan, you don't like this wall, you scribble it out, you draw another one. It creates an updated floor plan that looks really nice. Storyboarding a slide deck, right? And Rich also talked about the app generation already. Basically from creating individual UI components all the way to creating a hosted app. And then looking beyond, creating elements for those who want to work on research challenges. I have 4 slides on the research challenges that we are facing, where we literally don't really know the answers yet. If you want to help us, please let us know. From easier to harder, if you will, tokenization is really how do we represent the token itself that goes into the sequence encoding decoding. Right now, we just naively use 2D coordinates. But we can probably do better. I have a slide on that. Inksight is about reverse engineering handwritten text that is in bitmap images. We don't have a lot of training material, right? So this will unlock a lot of training material for stroke-based recognition, multiple writers, and then sort of the holy grail of having a foundation model that manages all the, no more rules for tic-tac-toe. You can it knows what to do with the ink strokes that you gave to it. Digging into these 4 just a little bit more. So tokenization, on the right side, you see the word hello written in the center in the original. Above is the sample points. Obviously, I thinned those out quite a lot, right? For the stylus produces a lot of sample points, so there's tons of them for those 5 strokes. That's a lot of data. That's not a lot of context, not a lot of reach, right? Yet that's what all the state-of-the-art papers use. It's like 300-ish tokens per word. That'll be like using a single character in ChatGPT as your token, right? Doesn't really make sense. We don't want to use the entire stroke either. That might be too long, just like we don't use an entire word in ChatGPT, but we use tokens, right? But somewhere there must be a good middle ground. And you could imagine some things that we've started exploring is using Bezier fitting right? Kind of figuring out how we could represent these things as Bezier curves, which obviously have limited bendability, but you can kind of subdivide smartly and then use those as your tokens. And then you see at the bottom here, so this to there is one Bezier curve, this is one, this is one. So now we've turned this H into 3 Bezier segments over maybe 100 sample points. So that's one challenge that we're facing. Ink.ai, as I said, is the idea of taking bitmap-based handwriting and turning that into stroke data, right? Reverse engineering what were the strokes that produced this bitmap. The Ink.ai is a paper that Google put out a few years ago. It sort of works, but not perfectly. You could imagine using fonts, like handwriting-looking fonts, to create synthetic training data, right? You could use the font. You have the font itself. You can derive the strokes from that, and you can rasterize. You have the bitmap, and now you can go this way from the bitmap to the strokes. One of the tricks is that fonts don't actually work with strokes. They work with filled outlines. So you also have to have a mechanism to go from the font filled outlines to the strokes, and then also to the rasterized bitmap. Lots of issues there, obviously. Then the multi-writer models. This is something that we're really just embarking on now. We want to get to a point where we have kind of style-aware synthesis, right? Where we want to make your handwriting look nicer without losing what makes it your handwriting, but make it look more legible so that you would want to share it. That's one thing, but we also want to represent in this one model many different styles, right? And we want to make your handwriting nicer, but we also want to synthesize your handwriting, maybe to augment your meeting notes or something like that. There are 3 data sets that are publicly available that can be used for this: IMONDB, Unipen, and Brush. They're briefly characterized on the right side with links to where you get them. And one of the big challenges there is, how do we encode a style embedding, right? How do we characterize what the writing looks like of a person so that we can then take that and push it towards a nicer style, right? How do we define what is a nicer style? How do we match local styles, right? If the person starts writing in all caps, and let's say we have some sort of a writing completion idea, right? Tab completion for writing, we should continue in caps, right? We shouldn't continue in cursive, but we should continue in cursive if they started cursive, right? Lots of interesting challenges. And even what is nicer handwriting? Papers tend to work with qualitative and quantitative metrics to figure that out. And then the last one is this foundation model that I mentioned. You might know the Suno model, which is basically for music what this model wants to be for ink, right? Compose, arrange, perform, and produce music, but do that with ink. And we could imagine creation and interaction being unified, right? There's no more recognized and handed off to interaction. It could be everything mixed together: text, sketches, annotations, whatever you can imagine, and all from the same strokes. And even editing gestures, handwriting gestures, scribble erasing, caret to insert a word, right? All of that could be part of this whole model. And it could kind of be self-improving, right? With every stroke and every what we might assess as a successful interaction over time, we can learn and improve. And that is all I got. So you have to clone the repo, npm install, npm run dev. We'll put out the open router key, and then go to town. Thank you.
You want to try the demo? You can just try plugging it in.
Save the big embarrassment for the end.
I think it's all right. We'll see live demos from us, from the hackers. So it's gonna be the same.
Okay, come on.
Yeah, look, it works.
Something.
I hope it's the same screen. Yeah, I think you need to go to settings and make screen mirroring not.
Little Android help here. Settings.
I tried settings display. It looks like it thinks it's a virtual display. Is that a Samsung tablet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screen mode.
Samsung. You should be able to mirror.
Watch out, it's really short.
Yeah, I got it. Oh shoot. Settings. Display, touch sensitive navigation bar, edge panel, screen timeout, aspect ratio, screen mode.
Right, guys, while we're waiting, today we have like so much AV set up. That's why we always have these hiccups. We basically have this like owl camera right now that's trying to capture Daniel, and I think the owl was failing to do that. So if you have any suggestions, if you know how to do AV more robustly, we always take suggestions. But maybe in the meantime, can you all please go and type into your URL sundai.club/guide. So it was like a lot of information for you right now. There's going to be lots of links and API keys and lots of things you need to do. So we accumulated all in one place on our website. So again, sundai.club, our website /guide. And there is this like little slides deck. On the second slide, you should have all the links for today, including how to join Discord, how to join the idea doc where you put your ideas and form a team. You will have a technical presentation from Daniel there. So basically everything is today.
Is that it?
I see some people already found it.
Here we go.
So, yay.
Will it work?
Yeah.
So this is the app that you will find in the repo. And here I have.
Really loud.
So this is the app that you will find in the repo. This is running on my laptop, but just make sure it's actually running. Yeah, it should be running on my laptop. 1 second. One more hiccup. Oh, I need the USB connection.
Okay, never mind.
Never mind.
Okay. Can you show it on the laptop actually?
Daniel can show afterwards if you guys want to go take a look. Basically, he can't be plugged into the USB for the projector.
Yeah.
He unplugged into his laptop, which is driving the demo.
But we can reconnect to your laptop, and you just like show it with your laptop, right?
I could, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just it doesn't work. The stylus works a little bit, but let's try it.
Okay. No, it's not showing. All right, so imagine this is your tablet, and you're actually having stylus in your hand.
Yeah, I was hoping to show it with a stylus because it's a little clumsy here. But yeah, this is the app that you'll find, sort of basic toolbar up here, and then you can draw shapes, and it'll just make them look nice. If it's not sure, it asks you to disambiguate. I don't know why it would think it's a circle, but let's say this is a rectangle right here. Should work, doesn't work right now.
Is there a reason you started again from scratch? Would it break if you draw a circle on one side and then tic-tac-toe?
No, you can keep going. I just want to keep it in the center of the screen. That should work. Let's see if this works. So this brings up this menu that I mentioned. You can see there's camera, gallery, AI sketch. This is the file.ai sketch. All the games here. We could try the camera. Actually, it doesn't work. But yeah, you just pick one of those and it inserts it right there, and then you can start playing the game. Let's see, Minesweeper. You can draw a little flag. Or you can just tap it. It's a little hard on the laptop. Ooh. So, yeah, that's basically where we're at. Undo, redo. Debugging output over here if you want to see what's happening. Color for the stylus, thickness, and yeah, go from there. And basically the system debounces if you draw. I don't know why tic-tac-toe didn't work. It's very irksome though. If you draw something like this, and it debounces the stroke drawing, so it waits for you to stop for a minute, and then it clusters those together and then presents those. So you'll get more than just one stroke, right? Strokes that are written together in sort of close proximity. Okay.
All right, so that was the first live demo of today. Let's thank Daniel for being so brave.
Setting the bar.
Okay, so just to kind of like wrap it up a little bit, what did we think are interesting topics to work on today? So you just saw a bunch of examples from Reach of how magical this experience can be with tablets, right? So think like this Tom Riddle's diary. And this is kind of like track number one that we thought today. Basically, if you work, I don't know, in physics, in chemistry, if you recently took a class, if you're like can come up with some application that you recently had like a pain with, try to build applications for this, right? So I guess like some of the good examples that Rich gave, if you're an engineering student, an electrical engineering student, build this application where drawing a hardware diagram will bring it to life, right? Like if you're a chemistry student, make something nice with like molecules interacting and like getting to life, right? So this is basically track number one. Can you go like really crazy deep into like making it very nice, polished applications for technology like this? And track number two, which I'm personally very excited about, I think me and Daniel, we were talking about about Ink.ai for a while already. To my surprise, there are so many interesting like training and like computer science problems in there. Like I didn't honestly anticipate that it's going to be so interesting to think about these problems. But basically track number two that we think can be here is, can you go like find a bunch of data sets online? Because there is not really much data for like the strokes and like handwriting styles, but there are many things that Ink.ai wants to do. So can you go and like in this very constrained regime of having like very few data sets, make something really nice? And so I had a couple ideas. I put my idea of the pipeline that I want to try today into the Google Doc, but we'll come back to it later. So again, basically like two possible directions for you to think. Cool, crazy applications of how to make it nice, smooth, and actually magical. And second track is train some models to be specifically good at like handwriting recognition, handwriting scoring, like take handwriting of like me, that's very bad, and then make it similar but look more readable, right? So like all these questions, can you actually train the models, transformers, and like regressive models for that? Right, so before we go into the idea formulation, again, this is the thing that will help you survive today. This is the Sundai survival guide. I will show you how it looks like. So please type it into your URL so that you don't lose it, because there are a bunch of very important links here for you. So first of all, if you're new to Sundai, all of our communications happen on Discord. This is where we like have our Tuesday AI Tools Club, Tuesday 8:30 p.m. meeting. Typically, the teams discuss things here. Like if we'll be distributing the API keys, we'll be doing it through Discord. So please join this thing. Second is what we actually are going to use right now is the link for the ideas formation. So this is a Google Doc, which you, oh wow, that's a lot. So please click on this link. It's a simple Google Doc. You should have edit access to it. This is where we put our ideas and look for teammates and just explain what you want to build, what help you need, do you want to find teammates or not. So basically, this is the time to do it right now. So please find the link. Here's the QR code, but better access it through the guide. And then just to finish on the guide, what else do we have here? So for today's hack specifically, right? So the technical presentation from Daniel probably was a little bit too much to remember all the React code right from the slides. So that's why you can access the slides through the guide, so that it can help you through the day to like see how it's built. But more importantly is the demo that Daniel just shared is available for us as a starting code. So here is a GitHub link that you can go and clone and start building your applications on top of this. And finally, like there is a link for the demo if you want to tinker with it, but literally just go to GitHub, ask your Cloud Code to explain it to you, what's happening, try to understand what tools I used to do all the magic, and try to build on top. All right, and just to also reiterate, the way how I understand, and maybe Daniel, you can correct me here, if you're going with the track number one, which is building applications, what are your main tools? What are the main hammers you can apply to make these applications? So in my understanding, there is a number one is there is a Google API they noted, correct? There's like a model, right, that can recognize handwritten characters, including like the Sharpie and
For text,
yeah. How's it called, the model?
It's the stroke-based handwriting recognition system.
Yeah, okay, so there is basically like an API by Google that you can access that will recognize characters, but it's limited to only whatever you have on the keyboard. And so Daniel will be there to help you with either the demo or like asking the model or any other questions. And second, probably like less specific, much more general and more powerful tool is you can just directly use LLMs, right? So you can just take the stroke path and send it to Gemini and just pray that it will understand what the stroke forms, right? Or maybe you can be a bit hackier and you can try to render the strokes into a shape and send it as an image to a VLM, right? You can send it to Gemini, to OpenAI, and ask like, hey, how does it look? Does it look like, I don't know, tic-tac-toe board? Can you like explain it to me? So these are basically the two main tools you can use for the application track, and also obviously be creative. But you're kind of a little bit constrained in the tools. All right, cool. So with that, let's form the ideas. Am I forgetting anything? Maybe for a few announcements for how it's going to go today. So right now we'll form the ideas. So please start filling the Google Doc in and put your whatever you want to build in there. We'll be done with this in hopefully like 15-ish minutes. And then for the rest of the day, you're just basically going to build. So hopefully you'll find teammates, you'll start building. Today, if you're like regular Sunday person, today we don't have the 2 p.m. checkup. It's an experiment. We're like, why do we even need it? We'll just skip it. We will have an optional 5K run. Mike, Brandon, are you guys, yeah, can you raise your hands? So yeah, if you want to compensate on the calories you got from the donuts in the morning, a bunch of us will be running around the river. So yeah, please join the group. It's typically very nice, I think. It should be sunny today. And the most important, right? So like we'll just be building. At some point, probably around 2 p.m., we'll have lunch here. 12 p.m. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Thank you, Freedom. So you can build either in this room or here in the corridor. And then the most important is obviously the demos at the end of the day. So if you haven't been last Sunday here, we have a new system that we are testing. Basically, the whole idea is that at 8 p.m. exactly, if our demo doesn't break again, we will have some kind of like voting procedure. So you go on Sunday Club, you fill in a card, and then each project has a card, and then we all vote on the cards. You kind of like basically swipe it left or right if you like it or not. And then the cards with most likes, they will go to present first, and they will get more time. So basically, we can manage a little bit better of like the balance, what people are interested to hear. So that's why it's very important. Start preparing your card and actually make it likable so that people want to hear about your awesome project by then. So yeah, that's announcements for today. Now let's go into the ideas. So how the ideas are going to work is that we'll basically invite you, if your idea is in here, I will invite you to stand up and just like shout out what you are building. Try to be very quick, so like we have many ideas. Literally just like say that, hey, I'm building that. I'm looking for this kind of expertise. Join me if you want. Or I'm not looking for anyone, I'm building alone, that's also fine. All right, so our team, that's me. I put it yesterday. So what I want to do is I want to train a bunch of things. In particular, I really want to try this like multi-neural network pipeline where the neural network takes the strokes of your handwriting and then try to make it very similar to your personal style, but look more readable. And for this, I have like 4 stages. It heavily relies on like synthetic data. So basically, I'll generate some synthetic data, train model 1, train model number 2, train model number 3, and then hopefully they will all combine into a wonderful magical pipeline. So that's what I hope to do today. I'll run some GPU servers. If you are curious, since there are so many pipelines, I think our team can be as big as like 20 people or even more, and we can like subdivide. So if you're curious to work on this with me, come find me after the presentations. All right, so Eric, is Eric here? Yes, Eric, what are you building?
I'm trying to use agents to build some mobile application. This used to be a lot of mobile applications. One application I'm interested in is the circuit architecture modeling, but TBD.
Okay, are you looking for anyone to join you? Any help?
I think it'd be nice to discuss
Uh-huh.
some ideas, but also maybe agentic patterns. I'm not too familiar with them. There's just a lot of research going on.
Cool. All right. So if you're interested in energetic patterns, if you're interested in like some applications like the circuit building and animation of that, please find Eric over there. Cool. Chris M.
So this idea was.
Oh, there's another Chris M. We have two Chris's M. No, that's you. Yeah.
It's inspired by this kids game called Story Cubes. If you're familiar with it, which is a physical game where you have different story elements on cubes and you can kind of combine them together to create stories. So I thought that it's unformed, but that there could be a turn-taking game where you collaborate with gestures to create an object, and it can kind of be taken in different creative levels or creative ways, but maybe there could be winning where the person who creates the stroke that creates the target object wins. It's just an idea I put down that I was thinking about. I'm not sure what I need for that, but.
Wonderful. Right. So if you want to brainstorm on this like collaborative game of story creation, right? Please find Chris over there. And again, we'll be brainstorming after that, and like hopefully splitting the teams and start building something.
Give me a hand around the mic. Hand around the mic. It's easier here.
Sure. Johnson. Is Johnson here? Yes.
I want to build a prototyping app where you can sketch out the UI, login page, dashboard, chat functionality, send it to an LLM, and get the code. Yeah, very simple.
Nice. So basically, sketch to lovable, right? As Rich said, it would be very cool if you can like drag and drop things. You know, like if you take a button and like move it around and adjust the code, like that's my feature request. All right, Binam. Binam is not here. Oh, okay. I know Binam yesterday was doing 2 hackathons in parallel, so he's probably overdosing right now on hacks. Caroline?
I had an idea to people to like quickly sketch out. I have an idea for people to quickly like sketch out some kind of a music pattern. I feel like the drum pattern would be pretty feasible for a day, so maybe have them sketch out different symbols like X's and dashes for different parts of the drum.
Nice. So if you're interested in more like music applications and like sketching a drum and then getting the sound out of it, it's actually a very interesting geometrical problem. Just coming from like my PhD background, there's lots of open research questions in there. Please join Caroline. Bruce, is Bruce here?
He's online. He's online.
Okay. Yeah, I think we already have so much trouble with AV today that we're not. Yeah, so let me read it. So Bruce is interested in the circuit idea, right? So like basically draw a circuit and then animate it for analog, digital, and quantum. So maybe Eric, you should reach out to Bruce. He's on Discord. So if you're curious, just tag him there. Quilly?
Yeah, it's kind of just like a meme, but basically I saw a lot of the ideas were sketched or something, and I was thinking it would be cool to do like something that's really refined and then go to what your like chicken scratch sketch of it would have looked like. So like a really cool 3D CAD rendering, and you go the other way back to what your initial diagram would kind of look like.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. If you do that, we can train the models like to reverse it, right? Or we can just nicely integrate it into. Nice. All right, Daniel.
So I have 2 ideas. One is a more ambitious, kind of trying to take a look at what is a more futuristic AI-friendly way to input our language into computers is, because keyboards, yes, they're artificial, but also stylus is also artificial because of technology of ink, of paper. Like, we don't have those constraints anymore. I think the most natural thing for a human being, besides speaking, which is also a good way to put into AI, but it's not private. So the other natural way for humans to express themselves is through hand gestures. And I think a tool like this, if it supports multiple points, you can probably teach yourself to gesticulate your words or expressions and using some embedding model to constrain which possible word it is, you can probably generate very consistent speech and much faster than typing or writing. So this is specifically for language input into like LLMs, because I like speaking at them, but I don't like typing in them because it's slow. So that's idea number one, just kind of experimenting with that. The other idea is a more simpler application of this technology for trying to turn sketches into music, but not by trying to do sheet music, also trying to step outside of the box and thinking like, because we have a lot of different variables, we have shapes, we have pressure, we have color, we have a lot of things, and music also has like harmonies, chord progressions, melodies, intensity, speed, etc. So trying to map those to like draw music more naturally. Yeah.
Nice. And Daniel, are you looking like for any brainstorm partners, like anyone to join you?
Oh, anyone who knows music theory would be good enough for the second one, but honestly, just talk to me. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So if you're interested in any of this, find Daniel here. Also, guys, like since everyone has access to it, can you like don't do Control A on this, please? Yeah. I don't know. I like pink, but it's okay. All right.
More people.
All right. So Siddharth.
Yeah, so two ideas. I mean, one was to sort of configure a room with different furniture, or just drop a room, give the dimensions. It will drop a proper diagrammatic 3D dimensional rendering of your room, and then specific furniture or decorations and whatnot for interior design. I'm really bad with that stuff at home, so we'll be solving enforcement problems here. And then the other one was to, thank you. The other one is to sort of assess the emotional state of a person based on their handwriting. So if we can have the user in a self-regulated state, in a self-reported state, write and form that as a baseline, certain samples, and over time, then if they are writing and the handwriting is either, I don't know if pressure point can be evaluated on that kind of thing, but at least how their cursive writing is in that point in time, and do an emotional sentiment analysis.
Oh wow. All right. Thank you, Siddharth. Mike.
Yeah. Thank you. So I want to do something like Harold in the Purple Crayon, or if anybody's done Scribble Knots, essentially what I want to do is I want to have, you can specify a number of turns, and you're going to have like a scenario that kind of based on your inputs and the interpretation of your drawings, the scene unfolds, and kind of a just infinite exploration type of game.
Are you working with Jordan?
I signed up for this. And we're looking for anybody though. Love people.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it's Dimitri.
I'm Dimitri. I kind of sketched out what I'm envisioning here. I'm a solar developer by trade, and one of the things we struggle with is that a lot of the tools that are available for design are extremely robust on the desktop, but they're overkill. So what I'd like to be able to do is build a tool where I can basically replicate the lower design of a solar array. And this is a real project I'm working on a rooftop in it's a middle school in Central Falls, Rhode Island. But the amount of keystrokes and mouse clicks it takes to replicate that design is just overkill. I think my vision is to be able to just sketch it out and make it a little bit more efficient using kind of basic assumptions for what a normal solar array would look like. And one of the complicated things is you can see the orange boxes on the bottom. Those are basically key belts. And so if you're going to put solar panels on a roof, there's all sorts of equipment up there. You should be very easy to just say, no, don't go here, don't go here, don't go here, as opposed to four mouse clicks to produce each one. So just a simplifying preliminary solar design tool.
And Dimitri, are you looking for any help? Anyone to join you?
Yeah. Anybody that can help me would be much appreciated. I'll be doing it by coding as best I can, but kind of coordinating between using stylus tools that I'm very unfamiliar with would be helpful.
Wonderful. Right. So now Chris can.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris. So a few veteran hackers and also entrepreneurs have been working on Sundai for the last few weeks. So it's basically a dark factory that's connected to OpenClaw. And so we want to add the extensibility of just being able to sketch your concept or notes and turn into specs and then build it. So yeah, if you have any experience with dark factories or interested in helping out, like some open source projects, feel free to join. Thanks.
Wonderful. Narmina?
Hello everyone. I would like to solve the bad handwriting of doctors in terms of handwriting text so that patients can understand the medical prescription better. I did some research and roughly 7,000 deaths annually in the US are happening because of medication errors and significant portions linked to mislead prescriptions. So I would like to add Ink.ai here to analyze the handwriting patterns, recognize the terminology, and maybe break down the dosage, the name of the drug, because a lot of patients are not that familiar with healthcare. So if anyone's interested in healthcare and wants to join me, I'll be happy.
You should talk. We have so like I think Serge, one of the Sundai co-founders, he will come in a bit. His postdoc is in basically this, so you could talk to him. Right, wonderful. Gigi.
Hi everyone, my name is Gigi. My idea is like very simple. Right now we have Figma Make, we have Lovable, Visio. You all rely on prompt to give you front-end design, or you have designer or like depending on the Figma to draw your front-end design. But we don't really know, when we prompt, we don't really know the component's name. Even UI UX designer themselves might not know all the names they want for the specific component. They have to look up for system. So my idea is simple to sketch out the front-end design that you want and connect to and transform to prompt, and it could surprise you or give you like a template or follow your original design intent, and from there to build your front-end design idea. And whoever's interested in that idea, please come find me.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Gigi. Frido.
Hi, I'm gonna work with image understanding models. So for example, there would be one model which understands intent and one model which is image editing. So you can draw an ocean and then enhance the ocean or animate it. So I mostly work with then, like I guess, Gemini Flash or Flux models and stuff.
Are you going to train anything?
No.
No. All right, so if you're interested in image understanding or enhancing drawing, join Frido. Steve?
Yes, well, I'm still brainstorming it, but it's essentially a sketch character engine where you basically can draw a game character by hand, like, you know, you can define like some traits like personality, maybe some movement style, if you want the character to dance and something like that. And then the sketch belongs to a 3D character that you can, you know, use tools like Blender or others to give life and maybe, you know, design your own game with that kind of characters. And looking for any help you can work with. Especially you like games.
It's very cool that you shared the visualization of that, like makes it so much easier to understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cool. So join Steve if you're interested in this. I think very interesting idea. All right, Steffi?
So yeah, whenever there are like notes that I have written or in class there are slides, so I usually use Claude and get artifacts to understand the concept better. So I feel like this would be useful for me, but my written notes could generate flashcards for memorization and quizzing myself on if I understand the topic well. And I think we can add on more features on top of this. So yeah, that's the general plan for now.
Cool. All right. So join Steph if you're interested in, I guess, memorization and flashcards, right? Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Nikita?
Hi. Sorry, this is not Ink yet. Maybe it will be at some point, but personal problem. family members who have issues, and so I was thinking building a system that supports people in making decisions around care of their loved ones, as well as enable patients to track what's happening in the world and kind of make decisions and incorporate things into their care that are coming up.
Can you elaborate a bit more? Like, do you mean a genetic system that helps you make decisions in like this period of life, or?
Yeah, I'm just thinking like if we use AI to track what's happening, research that's being published, clinical trials that are coming out. I feel like right now there's just so much possibility. Like grandma has back pain, she's on tramadol, but there is non-opioid pain medication. Dad has post-Lyme, and he hasn't tracked anything that's been happening. So things that would help optimize for their quality of life by tracking what's happening, because PCPs don't really do that right now. They just don't have the bandwidth. So you get some sort of a genetic or similar.
All right, cool. And what kind of help you're looking for?
Any help. All the help.
All right, so if you have any help, join Nikita with this problem. We have Ivan, who is remote.
You skipped Alyssa.
I'm sorry?
You skipped one.
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Alisa?
Yeah, it's not a given project, but I have quite a lot of digitized handwritten math data. So it could go in a similar direction as Artem's, where we train an autoencoder to replicate handwriting but math focused. It could go into more of a math solver. It's just open data for people to use at interest.
Wait, how do you have this data?
I was a math student for 3 years and digitized everything. And
Oh, wow.
quite a lot of it, just because I'm a big writer, so it's all written up.
Oh, cool. Let's talk. Maybe we can like train things together. Nice. All right. So Ivan remote. I think I will speak for him. So from what I understand here is basically optical character recognition system for engineering blueprints, right? So it's like architecture idea. Can you, having something scary like that, understand what's going on this diagram, right? Okay, so parse a sketch of a concrete structure, attach a chat to the parsed output so engineers could verify blueprints easier. So basically a chat with your blueprint idea. So Ivan is on Discord, I bet. So if you're interested, I don't remember who, but there were like a couple ideas about architecture and floor diagrams. If you want to merge efforts with Ivan, find him on Discord. All right, Connie is also online, so I'll have to be reading for her too. So Connie wants to do plant Tamagotchi, which is a Tamagotchi for her plant. Interesting. Wait, what?
Yeah, what Tamagotchi is?
Yeah, but like, okay. So basically, I guess like make your Tamagotchi, like make your plant ask for moisture for you, right? Like it's going to be yelling at you and saying, please water me. Anyways, if something like that speaks to you, please find Connie on Discord. She's going to work on plant Tamagotchi today. All right, so now do we have another Ivan who is in person, or is it the same Ivan who's online? Do we have an Ivan with this map of free paid street parking? Okay, so then I assume that this is the same Ivan who is on Discord, who just has two ideas. So if you're curious about map of free paid street parking, talk to Ivan. Okay, Jordan L. Jordan L is probably also online. I know he's on his own right now, and he's probably watching through his camera right now. But basically, Jordan Louis will be working on enabling use of Ink.ai with open source Mantra smart glasses, so you can use Ink.ai on any surface. What? Does anyone understand that? What is this?
You'd like, I'm assuming you'd have some glasses that you could integrate with, so then you're not limited to drawing only on the tablet. You could draw with like your finger, like a CV model or something, and you could draw on the walls, and the walls come to life.
That sounds like Jordan. So if you're curious to work on something like that, please find Jordan on Discord as well. We have Calvin here. Yay, fun.
Do I need a microphone? I'll give it to you. Last one. I'm not saying I will work on this, but I'm actually really cool if we have like a new interaction element where we can give our intents to the objects, right? So if you draw a fish, you can be like, I want it to swim. Or it can be like, I want it to get cut up in section, right? I feel like there's a difference between drawing and then saying that you actually want something different and how the elements get manifest. So I'm imagining perhaps like, creating a new cursor type where you can then draw on top of it as like a separate layer, and then that separate layer actually views something on the underneath elements.
Yeah, that's a very neat idea. Like surprisingly, I think the first one that's about animation, right, and about like bringing things to life, which I think is a very interesting direction for Ink.ai to like basically, right, you draw a fish and start swimming. I think it's very magical and cool. So yeah, join Calvin if you're interested in this. Now we have Ryan. Is it? No.
Yeah, sorry,
Yes.
last one, I just put this up there. But I'm thinking about, extracting invoice numbers from handwriting receipts. I have done a little bit of like the fine tuning for a small language model already, so it extracts invoice numbers from like a digital receipt, but it'll be cool to extend this to include handwriting receipts as well.
All right, wonderful. So if you're curious in OCR for receipts, find Ryan. Any other last minute ideas you want to drop in? Yes.
Can we have something that, so something that the physics simulator?
Yes.
It's kind of computer-aided engineering platform plugged in. So it will recognize all the elements like heat transfer and things like that. We can just design with a machine or something and have the simulator actually simulate when animate the designs and the right.
Wonderful. And what's your name? Can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, yes, I can.
Yeah. So if you're curious to work on like, in my understanding, notebooks for physics, right? Find Seed over there and bring them together. Anyone else? 3, 2, 1. All right, wonderful. So with that, again, these are just like the kind of the seed ideas. Hopefully will converge and like they will
By the
evolve.
way, when people start playing, you might just want to pivot
Yeah.
or something new. Like that's not, this list is not static, right?
Yeah. Rich, you want to add anything?
No, I mean, look, I'm excited you guys are infected by the idea of ink. So start playing. Don't be afraid to be like, you know what, I'm getting excited about this other thing midway through and pivot. I think once you have a team formed, we should figure out who's going to dole these out. But like, wait till you have a team formed and know what you guys are doing, and then at some point grab one of the tablets, and we'll see if we need more of them. But I think there's about enough tablets for teams. It seems like so. One tablet per team. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we make it such that if you have a team and finally like a finalized idea, you come find Rich, pitch the idea, and Rich gives out. Does it work?
Yeah, that's a little heavyweight. I don't know. They're there. Make sure you have a team, and when you have a team, grab one tablet per team.
All right, so basically we'll always have someone here, either Rich or someone else from Sundai. So whenever you have the idea, if you think you need a laptop, the tablet for this, please come grab one. All right, so now we just like few final reminders, right? Again, pitch is 8 p.m., lunch is like around 1. Please hug here and in the corridor. Most important, if you're working on an application, start with the code that Daniel prepared for all of us today. It's really going to help you like figure out how all of this works. So the GitHub link is on the Sundai.club/guide, and then look at the demo, get inspired, and build something cool. All right. Yeah. All right, guys, let's start hacking and get some energy.
One more thing.
Woo!
I added a laptop file in the restore folder on the repo that explains the data sets in more detail. So that you can find it. One more quick thing, guys. Hello.
We'll just post it on Discord. Okay. I think we'll distribute it later. I want to join your Yeah, let's try it. We'll go to another room.
Where do you post interesting links? Like, I just came across this, but this might be super inspiring for somebody.
Nice. I'm posting it here on /guide. So if you send me the link, I'll add it here.
I sent it to the WhatsApp. And should I send in WhatsApp? Should I send to the API team?
Yes.
That's where I have it like 2 personally right now. send it to you like this.
Alright, how should we distribute the tablets? We'll probably have some question. And you guys want the black bag, right? That's pretty cheap. Because like, yeah,
And that was a big question people ask.
Is
Is this a permanent thing?
Especially if you like not getting the
I think you are. They could even be, I do not do a hackathon, but they could be prices.
Hey, do you have like API docs anywhere? I got your slide deck, and I thought is right now. Yeah. Reverse engineering it into a readable HTML doc.
I have not created those yet. The only thing is
I'm gonna put it into a sample project, and I already forked it.
Okay.
I already did it.
And if you have good docs, put them back in the local if you want.
As well? A ton of people. Also, yeah, I mean, let's cover out what time are we getting together about the thing? Because there's also, I've been looking into the database thing, but it requires upgrading the database. I feel like non-trivial infrastructure upgrade to like make it work.
I tried to look into, you mean for the dev database?
No, dev database is up and going.
But it's empty, right?
Yeah. Oh, you want to populate
it? It's empty, and there was like I had a problem with that. I couldn't create a project for some reason.
Okay. So, it's because it's out of connections. I think I can't even connect to it in like a database viewer right now. So it's the max connection issue. So yeah, the issue with that is that like the instances are just too small. Like as the production database is also the same size, we can have max 25 connections. So we need to either make a bigger like VM for it, like more CPUs, more RAM, or we need to add a connection pooler in front of it. So that way, like all the Vercel functions, like talk to the pooler, and the pooler only has one connection to the actual database. But that requires upgrading. Right now we're on like the enterprise plan, but we need to be enterprise plus for the database deployment.
On Vercel?
No, on GCP. It's like a GCP database.
So I have a pitch competition at 2 to 3. And I'll come back and let's do it in like 4 p.m., 4 or 5 p.m.
4 or 5 p.m. Okay.
Well, I tried to test a preview, but like I have to lead it today, the Sunday, and I have pitch. So like for me, it's also like hard to.
Okay, because we don't need to necessarily cover that. I can go and dig through the.
Did you announce the tablets?
Yes. So I was wondering, like, we should ask Rich what's going on with tablets, but we should probably give it like whenever there's a team, and we should ask Rich if like he wants them back or not.
So like the main thing, like the database thing is like whatever, like that solves itself, or just like retries or whatever. The main thing is just rolling out the pitch changes. So I can go and look into dev and like see what's wrong right now. And so yeah, like when I've been testing, I've just been spamming a bunch of projects on like one of my accounts, and then so I could like go and populate a bunch of random shit like that.
Okay.
Just so we have something to test.
Is it possible to populate the test database with a copy of the prod? But then clear IDs are different, right?
What's that?
Clear IDs are different, right?
I think clerk IDs are technically would be the same, right? Because like I'm still using the same clerk setup as production can be. So
You mentioned that some of the organizers are in the healthcare.
Yeah, he's a postdoc in healthcare, but he's not here yet. He'll probably be here.
Do you know Russia? But I'm trying to.
Нармина.
Я из Азербайджана.
Что здесь делаешь?
Учусь
Кибер безопасность. Знаешь, что с тайтлом случилось? Ну, welcome.
You want to do let's do 4. Does that work?
Let's do what?
At 4 o'clock. It's all everything ready to go, so that way like we can just step through ideally.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's not much needed from me, right? I just want to test it quickly.
Yeah.
Just like make sure it works. So like you can, if you can test it before 4 p.m.
That's basically like I'm probably not gonna do any of this shit. So yeah, I'll go and test that and make sure that's all.
You don't want to train things with me?
I don't know. I'm just not very interested in visual AI. I just don't care about the subject now. I don't write notes in general, like let alone like on a computer or by hand. I just don't write notes. I just simply remember it.
I guess better for me. Like hopefully this thing will work. And then 4 p.m. I'll just quickly test it.
Yeah.
Is there like lots of code changes? I wanted to take a look at them.
There's a decent amount. Most of them were for actually fixing the ordering, because the ordering was all happening client side. But the reason it was getting all messed up is because it was client side, and so like Nushi would get added in. So now it's all database driven. So I think there's a decent amount of changes for that to go and sort of like restructure how that's all worked. A lot of like code was ripped out, and new code was added in. And yeah, then it's just a bunch of like just HTML changes kind of thing. I think. So I keep changing all the rounded buttons that you hate. There's always another one. AI loves making those buttons. So yeah.
I just wanted to get some feedback on my idea. What do you think? I think it's simple and straightforward.
I already forgot to. Sorry.
No worries. My idea is the solar design application. So, So, in order to produce this design from this aerial, I have to literally use a desktop application to click a precise outline of the entire building, which in this case is fun because there's multiple rooftops, and so it's not just one warehouse. And then the other problem I have is, this is equipment that I can't put panels on top. But this tool is super robust, and you can actually do a professional design. But all I need to do is very quickly be able to determine how much solar panel, how much capacity. So what I'm envisioning is using the stylus to just sketch out the roof, cross it off, and I have very good assumptions for like dimensions of panels that are good like based on assumptions. Is that
No, I think it shouldn't be that. Okay. It shouldn't be that. I think it's so easy. Like just to basically move it to a polygon and like have some agentic logic, but like based on the area, right? Like it's it should be easy enough.
That's what I think. But I also, I last time I came to Sundai, I had to do everything myself, and it was fun because it's making me learn. But I also don't want to completely fail. So I think I might need some help.
Yeah, especially if you like merge with someone. Like, help you. I think it's very reasonable.
That was doing the interior design. I thought was interesting. Spatial.
Also, Ivan.
Okay.
But he's online.
Okay.
So he's very strong technically.
Yeah. I'll stick with one, but I think I have one solution to help.
I think shape it.
I think so simple.
It wouldn't
You're the first one, right? The first idea. Right, first one. And Eve, so you are trying to train using what? You're trying to train
So my plan is that there are there are a bunch of open source models that given text generate you handwriting. So they will generate you like